Spy Tom. I Spy Tom, not the smartest guys in the room. Accomplishing goals, chip away, or all at once. What say you, Tom? How you doing today?
I'm doing well, buddy. I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. I'm looking at we use Restream to do this, and I'm looking and the screen looks a little different. There's a little thing that says on air right now that looks cool. So I'm feeling good about that.
Nice. Yeah. Well, it's there's nothing different on my side. It just says we're live,
Okay.
but it always
Well,
says that. So,
interesting. Well,
I,
it's good to see you. We are talking today about accomplishing goals, chipping away or all at once. That was a hard thing to write when I chipping away or hit it hard or all at once. I was like, well, how do I say what I'm trying to say here? And I struggled with that. But so what are your thoughts on it? I mean, I'm go on, Tom.
well, I mean, I was thinking about it because I was in a networking meeting yesterday morning, and one of the things that we were talking about in that networking meeting was, are you meeting your goals, or have you met your goals, or are you on track to meet your goals for 2026 or for 2025 for your business, right? Like, are you on track going into 2026? Are you going to hit your goals, like your business goals, your sales milestones, your revenue milestones, et cetera, right? Like, are you achieving your KPIs, to use a business some business jargon? And so it just got me thinking, like, it's one of those things. I think something that, like, I don't know that I've struggled with, but I have two very different approaches to accomplishing goals depending on the constraints that are kind of placed on me by outside forces. And what I mean by that is, in one part of my life where I do endurance athletics and I train for Ironman races and I do these crazy long course triathlons, I have to train regularly, right? I have to chip away at it. In fact, my next race is July of 2026. And guess what I did this morning? I went swimming and I went for a bike ride, right? Because I know that if I want to do well at that race, I have to maintain my fitness. I have to keep chipping away at my fitness goals and at being trained for that event, because you can't leave it to the last minute. It doesn't work, right? And I know that. And so if I want to accomplish what I want to accomplish there, I have to just chip away at it, right? I have to be persistent. It has to be a part of every day. The flip side of that is that often, and this happened just last week. I had a client reach out to me for a quick turnaround project, right? And so it kind of the project was done in less than a week, right? Today, it would have been a week today that they had originally reached out about the project. It was a week ago. It was last Wednesday they reached out. We delivered the finished product on Monday, right? So it was a very quick turnaround, rapid response, but we got it done. And I guarantee we could have taken 4 weeks to do that project, right? If the time had allowed for it. And so it kind of simulated that idea of, like, sort of, do it all at once, like procrastinate, do it right at the end, right before the deadline, right? Because we only found out about it right before the deadline. So I wasn't, just to be clear, I don't procrastinate with my work for clients. But I just want to, it kind of simulated that. And this is why I was thinking about it. But I've had lots of success in my life doing exactly that, right? Like, kind of doing things at the last minute, doing things when the pressure is on. In fact, in some ways, I would argue that I perform better in some ways when I have some pressure, right? When I know that I'm up against a deadline, when I know that the clock is ticking, when I know that that time is about to run out, and I have to get it done no matter what. Sometimes I feel like I deliver a better result than if I belabored it for months on end. So that's kind of why I was thinking about it. Like, I was curious, really. It wasn't that I think one is necessarily better than the other. I think they serve different purposes for different goals. But but I was curious to see what other people thought, what you thought, what, Dr. Tachi and anybody else that comes up on stage with us today thinks about the value of having a long-term goal that you chip away at versus goals that you can accomplish in a very compressed time frame, and under pressure. What do they find more value in? Do they prefer one over the other? What are other people's thoughts on it? But it's funny because I kind of would argue that I prefer the compressed time frame. I sort of like the pressure. I kind of feel like I thrive under it a little bit. And yet, this morning I went for a swim and I went for a bike ride, all before getting on this podcast, on the show with you, um, because I have an event in July. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe my actions speak louder than my words. I'm not sure, but yeah. What do you think?
It's an interesting topic because I think it depends on the task, which method of getting things done is better. Sometimes a date's on the calendar and we have to get everything done by that point. Sometimes, let's say as a publisher, my advice might be take 6 months, set a date on your calendar, work on it for a year. Now, there is merit to putting a date on your calendar that says 30 days from now and do what you can in those next 30 days. Try to develop it as much as you can in those 30 days. See how far you get in 30 days. But is that deadline artificial? So that's what I'm going to ask you. Is the deadline artificial? Because like Tom has to be ready for the race in July no matter what. Or because there is a true deadline. And if you can only fit so much work into that final week. If you haven't done some incremental things along the way, then you're going to be in big trouble. Same with writing a book. If you're like, well, I'm going to clam it up, cram it all into a weekend. Well, what about the editing? What about the development? But to bulk it, batch it out, I think you can get a lot done. So interesting. I'm going to say, but it depends on deadline. Is it real? Is it artificial? That's where I start this conversation today. This is not the smartest guys in the room accomplishing goals, chip away, or do it all at once. Dr. Tachi, come on up. What say you on the subject? Julie, Jim, Brian, Fancy, Marcella, whoever's here, who's ever watching, we appreciate you all being here because me and Tom just don't like to talk to ourselves because we can bore each other or fight with each other if that happens. So, Dr. Tachi, what's going on?
Okay, there we go. Can you hear me?
You sound beautiful.
Okay, great. Well, good morning, everyone. And like the two of you, I think it really depends on what the task is. If it's something that you can't do right away, like Tom's uh, man of the century race, there's no way you could do that a month before because the progress is cumulative. So if the progress is cumulative, then I would say definitely chip away at it. But if it's something that you need that kind of boost of adrenaline to get it all done, and under pressure you work well, then I would say that. For me, it really depends on what it is. I think back to I'm not the type of person that journals. I can't stand it. And not that it doesn't work for other people and that it's not good. I just don't like doing it. So I hated any class that required us to keep a journal. I'm like, for what? I don't want to do this. And I wouldn't until like the week before it was due. And then I would go back and do all the journals. And of course, I would get credit for it, but it's something that I didn't want to do. So I would wait to the very last minute. Instead of it would probably have been better for me to week by week keep track of it, but I didn't want to do it anyway. So it wasn't getting done until it had to be done. That's not probably the best way to do it, but that's the way I work sometimes. So now it's also with deciding what tasks I actually need to do and what tasks can be farmed out to someone else to do. And you know, because I have choice now or choices, more choices now. So it also goes with not taking on things that you don't necessarily want to do because you're not going to get it done in a timely fashion. So decide what needs to be done. Do you have to be the one to do it? And if so, well, then you have to deal with it and make a method so that it's easier to get done. But if you don't have to do it, then don't do it. Farm it out. That's what I would say. I rest.
Thanks, Dr. Tachi. Yeah, I completely understand where you're coming from with that journal assignment from school, because I was exactly the same way when it came to like an ongoing assignment. I would just put it, especially if it was something that I just didn't find value in or didn't find sort of entertaining or exciting or interesting. I would 100% put it off until the last minute and then sort of cram it all into the last day. And that was sort of my MO going through school, because a lot of the time that I was in school, I wasn't really well engaged, right? Like I didn't feel sort of challenged or whatever. I just felt like I was being told to memorize stuff a lot of times, and that was boring to me. And so I would just wait until like, the night before the test or the day before the test, and I would just start cramming it in. And usually I did pretty well. I mean, I wasn't like a straight A student or anything, but I did well enough to get by for sure. Like well enough to get by and well enough to get into a decent college and all that good stuff. But yeah, I mean, that was 100% my MO. I was always like last minute, and it drove my parents nuts. But I think, to your point and to Dom's point, it really comes down to the deadline, right? Like how solid is the deadline? How in stone is the deadline? And do you have, Dom? We're having your screen is going haywire over here. I don't know what you're. Are you touching? Are you touching that your camera connection again? What are you doing over there? Anyway, Dom is, for anybody watching the live stream, Dom looks like he's caught in the Matrix.
Like Max Headroom or something.
Yeah, he's Max Head. Oh, there he went. There he went. We lost Dom's picture.
So you have to step up your game.
Now I'm all by myself. It's just me and the clubhouse screen. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, it all came down to the deadline, right? And if it was a deadline that could get pushed, I would push it 100%. So I think that has a large part of it. And also, to what you were saying too at the end there, Dr. Tachi, I 100% agree. And it's something I'm trying to do in my own business now more than I have done is, if you don't enjoy something, if you don't find it a sort of good challenge, right, when it comes to the work that you do, like you should try to delegate that work or delegate those tasks and get someone else who does enjoy that work to do it, right? Like it's always best to have somebody who finds joy in the work that they're doing to do that work rather than you doing it just because you feel like you have to. And so I'm 100% with you on that as well. Delegation, I'm a big fan of delegation. Dom's back. Here we go, back on the live stream. But yeah, I'm a big fan of delegation, and I think if we can delegate projects and work that we don't want to do, and then we know we're going to procrastinate to someone else who's much more likely to do them in a timely manner because they actually enjoy that kind of work, then I say do it, right? Like that's something I'm definitely trying to do in my business right now. What do you think, Tom?
I think you're right on, Tom. You can't do it all yourself, or you will be cramming at the last minute, hair on fire, like me and you talk about sometimes. Poor planning on their part does not constitute an emergency on my part. So if you didn't, even as a kid, like if my son's in school and doesn't, has a long assignment and waits till the last night, well, that's your problem, not mine. The teacher gave it to you a month ago or a week ago. You didn't have to wait till the last minute. And that's same with business and life. Anything you do, incremental, long term. Brian Swift. So let's go get into some tips on this. Accomplishing goals all at once, chipping away. Brian P. Swift, you got some tips for us on chipping away at those big goals? What do you do?
Well, first of all, having them written down is so key, so that you could plan ahead. So and for me, being a quadriplegic and needing a hand with many things, I really have to plan ahead. If we're going out, I have to check to see if where we're going is accessible. I have to see, you know, make sure that wherever we're going, I always call and let them know I'm going to be there. Is it accessible? Is there a different way in? A lot of times they are, but sometimes it's we'll park in back because the ramp is on the side. So I think that you have to prepare in advance. I think you have to have written goals. I mean, I'm not talking about a goal, when I'm going out, but I know now, and I learned years ago that making that one phone call can prevent a lot of problems. So I try to prepare in advance, and if, especially if I'm taking on a project, make sure that um, I've contacted people that I might need help from down the line to help with certain parts of it. So call in advance, and the best way to know and keep tabs on, for me at least, is writing that down, knowing that project is ahead of me, and knowing that I'm going to be at this point, possibly at this time, and calling and saying, "Hey, Spence, you know, next week, is there a day you could give me, a little bit of time, maybe?" So I think that planning in advance is key. Writing it down is key. Calling the people you might need a hand from and checking. I mean, and even in other situations, like even what you and Tom do, maybe there's a third party you need to get. You're going to need some help from finding out. They may be booked for months out. Same thing with me. That person I might need hand from might be out of town for 2 weeks. So I think making those calls in advance, and people are more apt to help if they know it's coming and can plan around it. So I think it's really important, especially when you do need help or you want help, um, to try to let people know in advance, and be courteous of what's going on in their schedules. And I think that's probably some of the biggest things that have helped me. I'm complete.
Hey, Brian, good stuff. And that was a well laid out, prepare in advance, written goals. I feel like you could do a whole speech on that, right? Prepare in advance. Here's 50 tips, 20 tips to prepare in advance.
Thank you, my friend.
Yeah, go. I want to see a video on that. Okay. Before we get to our PSAs, Julie, you got any tips for chipping away at your goals?
I don't. I mean, I have a lot of tips, but I also think it's dependent on your priorities and your age. So, if you're a teenager, I mean, we remember teenage years in college. I did my best at midnight before the paper was due, and that was where my magic was woven. And as an adult, I'm hosting Thanksgiving next week, and I'm already preparing the meals. I'm going to start cooking the dishes this weekend. Tom has to prepare for his triathlon. I mean, if he jumps, thinks he's going to start the triathlon, start running the week before, training and swimming the week before, good luck, buddy. But like, you should, it depends on your priorities. And like Creative Con, we're starting 2027 a year and 3 months before. So it really depends. You have to prioritize what what's really important. I mean, right now, what's my goal for the day? I don't know. To take a shower, get dressed. So I mean, what is important to you? Prioritize it, and then you know and then start working at it. That's all. Prioritize. That's my tip, I guess.
All right, good one. That's a new one to add to our list. I see my friend Jimmy, but hold on, Jimmy. It's time for PSAs first before we get to Jimmy on his tips. So, PSA, it's that time of the show where it doesn't have to be a gripe, it is a public service announcement. We put each other on a clock and give us something going on in the world. Tom talked about what side of the road you should walk on one day, and I talked about taking probiotics. So, Tom, we'll start with you today. Put yourself on the clock, and what is your PSA to the world on this nice November day?
Well, all right, hold on. Before I get into it, you just threw in there, it doesn't have to be a gripe. And now I feel like all of mine have been gripes because that was kind of the premise or the understanding I was working under, was that it was supposed to be like kind of a gripe, like, hey, public, this is like you're doing something wrong, right? Maybe that's on me. Maybe I just misunderstood it. But now I feel like maybe I should come up with a different PSA because like the one I've got to talk about is another gripe. So I don't know.
Well, mine's going to be a gripe today too, but maybe someday our PSAs will, like maybe next week on Thanksgiving Day, I'm going to be like, be great, be extra grateful today. So, Tom, quit stalling, put yourself on the clock, and we want a PSA from you.
All right. Well, I'm just gonna go on record first and say you cannot say it's Thanksgiving, be thankful as your PSA. Like that is a softball like lob. Like you can't do that. I'm not going to allow it. You got to come up with something better than that. All right. So here we go. I am going to put myself on the clock. I've made a little timer here, so I'm going to put the clock up and off I go. Oh, that's not. Hold on, I hit the wrong thing. What's happening?
It sounded cool.
It sounded cool, and now I'm on. I don't know. I'm on a different screen. I can't even see us anymore. I don't know what's happening.
We live stream, so maybe Tom, you might have to go no clock and put the clock
All
on
right,
me.
just Dom, you do yours. Let me figure this out.
I don't even get a clock. All right, here we go.
Oh.
So I'm looking at a clock in the corner. So my PSA today, I love sporting events. I go to a lot of sporting events in Pittsburgh. If you go to a Steeler game and you get up during play, like if you have to go to the bathroom, if you want to go get some nachos, whatever you want to do, you do not get up during play. You sit there till the play is over and then you get up. People that get up during play, you stink. I can't see the game. I paid for my tickets. Me and my son went to a Knicks game. So, Knicks fans, you're getting a shout out on this. Knicks fans, I went to a Knicks game with my son. The whole game, people got up and like in the middle of the play. What are you doing? Play over, then you get up. In Pittsburgh, if you get up during play, even if you're walking down the aisle during play, people will boo you and they're like, sit down, down in front, down in front. Knicks fans, what are you doing? You don't get up and play. So, PSA for today, Tom, is wait till play is over and then you can get up and go wherever you want to go. So, that's what I have for you today. Thank you.
All right, I like it. And I did get the clock up. It took me a second, but I did find it. So anyway, I hit the wrong button. It was a whole thing. It was the first time we've done this with the clock, so bear with us. Anyway, all right, here we go. I'm going to throw the clock up, and I'm going to go. All right, when you go to a supermarket, Costco, Walmart, any place where you are pushing a shopping cart, right? Please, for the love of God, for all things holy, please, follow the rules of the road, right? Everyone knows you stay to the right. If you need to get something off the shelf, you stop your cart, you walk over to get it off the shelf, you walk back to your cart, you put it in, and you move on. Literally, I'm to the point where I'm going to just start doing bumper carts with people when they completely block the aisle, they turn crossways, they wheel their carts across in front of you as you're trying to get things. I'm just so sick of it. Follow the rules of the road, stay to the right. Stop blocking the lane. Everybody else is here to shop too. You're not special. There's my PSA.
There we go. And like you said, we didn't intend for these all to be gripey, but maybe we are just two gripey curmudgeons. So I'm not sure, but I agree with bad cart etiquette. So let's move it on. Go on, Tom.
I like that. I saw that I actually got a nod out of you on that one because you were like, "Yeah, I hate that too."
Yeah.
It's really annoying. It's super annoying. But yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like the PSA is almost sort of like what are the two the film critic guys from the Muppets? You know who I'm talking about. I can't think of their names off the top of my head. Somebody's got to help us out with that. But the two film critic guys from the Muppets who sit up in the balcony box and bark critiques of things. Like I feel like that's the vibe of the PSA segment. And actually, I'm here for it. Like I'm good with that. I kind of dig that vibe. I am like, look, my favorite Sesame Street character was Oscar the Grouch, right? Here's my Oscar the Grouch just sitting on my desk, right? Like from when I was a kid. So I'm here for it. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe we stick with that vibe.
Could be good. Okay, Statler and Walder, I see, are in the comments here. Okay, this is not the smartest guys in the room. We appreciate all you for being here. Chip away at your goals. So, Jimmy, you want to weigh in on the PSAs? You want to tell us about tips? We'll come back around here for a little bit.
Yeah,
what do you got for us?
Tom, I do agree with the card etiquette. The older I get, the more it drives me crazy. And the worst place in the world for it is Costco or Sam's Club because the carts are bigger. So they take up even more space and people are always in the way. So, yeah, I got it. But my PSA, I'll switch it around and do something positive here since you guys are also negative. Yesterday, I saw a post that a girl posted on Facebook that basically said someone told her that she looked nice and that she looked like a movie star. They named a certain movie star. And she said it changed her whole day. So my PSA is if you can tell someone something nice today, like, hey, Tom, I love your sweater, or Dom, your hair looks great, or Dom, your tan is not fading as bad as you think it is. Something like that. That would go a long way, and it might actually help someone's day. So I'll land my plane there.
Jimmy, good stuff and positive vibes from Jimmy today. Me and Tom are sitting here thinking, so that's how you do a positive PSA. So good job. Hey, Jimmy, back to chipping away at goals and hitting goals all at once. So
yeah, I had a question.
Yeah, go on.
I had a question. So anyone who has grown children like Dom, Brian, Julie, that I know of at least, are your kids like you when it comes to that? Do your kids wait till the last minute? Do they procrastinate? Do they have the same traits that you do? Because, like I'm a lot like Julie. I would wait till the last minute and always get it done, but I was always rushed and always under stress. And my son's the exact opposite. If he gets a project that's due in a week, he'll have it done like day 1 or day 2 and then just coast the rest of the time. So he handles time way better than I do. And I don't know that he's ever seen me stressed like that, but I just wondered if your kids are like that or not.
I'll jump in. I have 3 kids, and my daughter is just the opposite. She is very well planned, does things in advance, makes sure that she's ahead of the game. My oldest son was wait to the last minute, throw it together. And then my youngest son was somewhere in the middle. There were a couple classes he was like that, and then a couple classes he wasn't. So I always thought it was more of a guy thing, that most of it was guys that kind of procrastinated and waited. And it would be interesting to know the stat on that. But I always viewed it as kind of more of a male thing than a female thing, us just waiting and kind of putting ourselves on the hot seat and then rushing and getting it done. But I don't think it is. I think it's around the board, and it just depends on personality. I'm complete.
Okay, let's hear. Good stuff. Good question, Jimmy. Julie, what do you think? Is it male, female, generational? What do you got?
I'm a girl, Brian.
Oh, there you go. She said,
All my I have 4 boys. 3 out of 4. My second is very organized and highly anxious. Well, I would say 2 out of the 4, which are the 2 middle ones. So maybe it's the middle children. The middle children are very organized and get stuff done. The oldest and youngest, horrible.
All right, we don't have any good answers for you, Jimmy. It's all over the board. So there's your answers to your questions.
Yeah, I'm just here for Tom's thumbs, so keep going.
Okay, well then let's go right into it. If when people want Tom's thumbs, let's give it to them. Let's give them what we want. So this is the point of the show where we asked Tom, and he got soft when he had a child. So we asked Tom something going on in pop culture, the media, and have to see if he gives it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. So this question was actually brought to you by my friend Jimmy. He proposed it and wanted last week, Tom, we talked about heels, not heels, bad guys, good guys. Sometimes we position Tom, or maybe Tom just is a bad guy. So the question today, Tom, is it good? Does America, does the world, does a show need a bad guy? Thumbs up or thumbs down?
I don't think that's a thumbs up or a thumbs down question. You're asking if the world needs a bad guy. Like, what am I giving a thumbs up or a thumbs down to?
Thumbs up to the bad guy, thumbs down to the bad guy.
Can I give your question a thumbs down?
Go ahead, you can do that. I mean, people propose them, and I got to reframe them. What do you want from me?
So yeah, all right. So I'll take it this way. As you said, you reframed it actually right now. After I gave you a little shove, right? Which was, there is a bad guy. There's pretty much always a bad guy. Thumbs up or thumbs down to always having a bad guy, right? Or there always being a bad guy. Yeah, I mean, look, I think at the end of the day, it feels a little tropey, right? It feels a little trite, but like, look, like you can't appreciate being happy without also knowing what it is to be sad, right? Like you can't appreciate good without bad. Nothing is good if there isn't something bad to compare it to, right? To draw into sharp relief how good something is by comparing it to something else that is bad, right? And so like, and the reason I said sort of tropey and you know, that it felt kind of like a, you know, well, just, yeah, it feels like a played out trope, right? Like it feels like I'm leaning into the idea that like there is no light without darkness, right? Like, you know, that is sort of the way that we understand things. And I actually think there's some validity to that, right? There is some real hard factual validity to the idea that like there is no good without evil, right? Because at the end of the day, if there isn't evil, then whatever we think of as good or we exemplify as good just becomes there, right? It just is. If you don't have anything to compare it to, any way to draw it into contrast, any way to highlight the difference between good and bad, right? You suddenly everything is just there, right? It just is. It kind of loses its meaning, right? Or its value as something good. So like there has to be, in order for there to be good guys, there has to be bad guys, right? Otherwise there's just guys. So yeah, actually in a way, bad guys get a thumbs up because you can't have good guys without bad guys. So like in a shocking turnabout, here I am on Tom's thumbs. You thought you were handing me a layup, I think, right? You thought you were handing me something that was going to guarantee I was going to give a thumbs down. And here I am giving a thumbs up to having bad guys, because without bad guys, there are no good guys, right? And if you want to root for the good guys, if you want to be on the right side of history, if you want to be on the winning team, whatever it is, right? There has to be a wrong side of history. There has to be a losing team, and there has to be a bad guy. So bad guys get a thumbs up.
Well done, Tom. I thought, what's that word you always use? Some kind of cogent argument for the good, for the bad guy. Well done all around. Jimmy, you proposed a question. What do you want to add there? I want to go around the room after that.
No, I did think he was going to give it a thumbs up, so I wasn't shocked there. But I just want to make a point. What Tom said, especially at the end, about being on the wrong side of history, right side of history, all that stuff. The whole news media right now is based on the fact that the other side is the bad guy. And if no matter what network you put on, regardless of political views, the other side is always the bad guy. We're the good guys, and we have it the right way. They're doing it wrong, and that is what the 24-hour news cycle is based on. So I agree with that.
There you go. I have a poster somewhere around. It's Scarface, and I think he says "Say hi to the bad guy" on it. So I love myself some Scarface, some bad guy, and my friend Tom. He can be a bad guy. Dr. Tachi, good guy, bad guy, or another tip on accomplishing your goals. What do you think about? What do you think about Tom's thumbs today and uh, good guy, bad guy?
I too was a bit confused by Tom's thumbs at first until it was broken down. So don't feel bad, Tom. So in terms of the tip, I will go back to what I said before, that you don't have to do everything. I think it's a good idea to sit down and see what needs to be done. Particularly, I'm speaking about business, for example. See what needs to be done, make a list of those tasks, and see who or what can help you accomplish them. So, for example, you may not be able to hire someone to help you, but you can hire technology. And for small business owners, especially, that's usually the first hire you make. Technology. So see what apps are out there, see what platforms are out there that can make the job easier so that you may not physically have to do whatever the task is. So hopefully that's a good tip.
That is a good tip, Dr. Tachi. That makes me think. I was just having a conversation with our friend Julie up on stage the other day, and we were talking about uh, saying no sometimes. Sometimes you got to say no. I can't do it all. So I need to lean on other people to help me. This is what I can do. This is what I can't do. We got a friend Jason up here. Jason, what's going on? Where you been? I see a profile picture of Jason. He's in a suit here, looking sharp. Nobody else has a suit on in their thumbnail picture. So, Jason, we're talking about chipping away at goals a little bit at a time, all at once. You got a tip for getting to our goals? What say you?
Yeah, the main thing is just remember your whatever your goal is, it's for yourself. It's for yourself. Make sure that you like it so much that you keep it drives you to keep going, even when you fail as well as when you succeed. I mean, like, but yeah, the only thing I ever focus on is like whatever I want. And if it includes other people, that's great. But make it to where or go for it as like you would like to enjoy it. No matter what it is.
Cool. Thanks, Jason. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's I mean, yeah, I think one of the things that often gets like overlooked, and it's something that I've definitely had some challenges with over the course of my career as an entrepreneur, is the value of whether or not you enjoy what you're doing, right? There are so many things, especially for entrepreneurs, there's so many things, so many sort of metaphorical hats that you have to wear, right? In your business, right? You have to be everything. And there's the old adage, right, that you're so busy working on working in the business that you don't work on the business, right? That you're so focused on just getting through the day to day and doing all the things on the task list that you don't actually do anything to move the business forward, right? And I think that's kind of like, it's a classic entrepreneurial dilemma, right? That you end up in this kind of vicious cycle of you get work, you do the work, right? And you neglect the business for the work. Then you finish the work and you realize you have to do all this catch up and all this work on the business. So you start to do that, and then you get more work, and you kind of just bounce back and forth between like finding work for the business, doing the work that you find for the business, finding the work for the business, doing the work you find for the business, and you can't ever actually grow the business, right? Or expand or increase your impact or reach new markets, whatever the case may be, whatever your driving force is. And for me, like, and I've talked about this, a bunch of times on here before, but my whole thing with this crazy mission that I've put on myself to humanize the world of business through better communications. Well, I know I'm never going to accomplish that completely, but I want to have an impact in that direction. And in order to have an impact in that direction, I can either be, a pebble making a tiny ripple in the ocean, or I can switch things around and like do the work of delegating tasks that I don't really want to do, that I know I'll put off, that I'll know I'll procrastinate on, or I know I won't accomplish, right? Goals that I won't do, right? I can delegate those. I can work towards bringing in other people into the business, whether it's other subcontractors or team members, right, to help take on some of those tasks, so that I can actually focus on the business, right, and not just on finding work to pay my bills, so that I can find more work to pay my bills, right? Because then you end up in this kind of like, it actually reminds me of smoking, oddly enough, which I'm sure a bunch of people, I just said that and a bunch of people probably went, huh? But there's this book, and I can't remember the name of the author off the top of my head, but there's this book that was written that a lot of people have sort of used to quit smoking. And the title of it is something along the lines of like the easy way to quit smoking. And the idea is basically, the main idea in the book is that the only reason you smoke, right, as like a cigarette smoker, right, the only reason you smoke is because of the last cigarette you had, right? And if you simply break that cycle, right, if you just interrupt that cycle, then all of it kind of goes away, right? Like, if you understand that the only reason you're having a cigarette is because you had a cigarette previously, then you also understand that the best way to not have that next cigarette is to not have the one you want to have right now, right? And so, kind of similarly, it's a bit of a vicious cycle that's self-repeating, just like that sort of entrepreneurial dilemma of get work, neglect the business, finish work, focus on the business, get more work, neglect the business, and just on and on you go, right? And I wanted to try to get out of that cycle, but I think often, people set goals but don't set really good roadmaps or good sort of benchmarks for how to accomplish those goals, and so they end up kind of never getting there, right? And I don't want that to happen to me or my business, and so I'm actively trying to avoid that right now and trying to actually accomplish some of the goals that I've set for myself. So I don't know. That's it. Just maybe that's that. What you said, Jason, kind of led me down the road that got me to thinking about that. If that makes any sense. So I don't know. What do you think, Dom? What are your thoughts on smoking cigarettes and how to quit, Dom?
Yeah. I, 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 I don't have many thoughts on smoking cigarettes and how to quit, but and then Jason, we got you in a second here. I just wanted to add this. There are a lot of great one-man shows out there, great one-man, one-woman show, and they could be huge. They could be wildly successful. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you want to scale or grow at bigger than that, bigger than the greatest one-man show, at some point you have to give up some control. You can't micromanage everything. Maybe even at times you have to take a step back and get other people involved. So I think if you're willing to sometimes take a step back and realize I can't control everything if I want to get to where I want to go. There's other great leaders out there. There's other great employees. There's people that are better at this and that than me. Let's bring them into the fold. And then I think that's a way to become more than a great one man show. So that's my take on it. And Jason, you had some feedback there too in that fancy suit. So what do you got, my friend?
Yeah, I wanted to add, there's a lot of our world has a lot of copycatting, right? And the other reason why I was saying like go after what you want to make so you can enjoy it yourself, because just the other day, or no, the weekend before last, um, I was flying my drone. I was practice flying and filming so I can get good at how to fly it, how to program it, how to get the camera angles, how to be able to use the pitching and everything. This guy comes up to me and says, "Hey, I want to buy a drone." I'm like, "Hey, here's the model I bought, and this is what I did." So I saw him just the other day later, and he bought it. He's like, how do you do all this? And I showed him, and he's like, why do you do this? And I said, well, eventually I'm practicing to get so good because I'm interested in filming scenery that maybe my kids or relatives won't be able to enjoy unless they go them personally. But I really like filming. I really enjoy it. And he goes, you know what? I'm a realtor. I'm a broker. I'm a realtor. And he told me, he goes, if I paid you, could you come film some of the ranches and houses? Because I'm looking at your footage that you're showing me. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, where did you learn all this? And I said, I learned from different people doing it, but it wasn't up and until I took from me wanting to do it to just go do it. And I really want to enjoy it. And then those wonderful accidents, I like to call them, that people stumble across you and you do something really good and you weren't intentionally trying to do it for anyone else, that makes it something unique. Because I mean, in a world where a lot of people are making stuff with AI, which is awesome. AI is an awesome assistant if you can use it ethically, but then there are people out there for bad. But when people try to go viral or be important or scale too big, other than just let me get the basic thing that I envision it to be to get done, then where are you? So go after what you want because you know you'll enjoy it, not just because, like, oh, this is going to go viral. Oh, I can make a lot of money, because that just leads to a short stop. That's it. So that's what I wanted to add.
Jason, man, appreciate that. I like the reminder. We were asking for tips earlier. The reminder for whatever we're out there doing, do it for you. Right? You first, your passion, and then uh, who knows where it can go. So I think that's a good reminder. Tom, you feel like that? Is it like because we talk so much about audience first, and it should be audience first, but should it be you first? I mean, what do you think about that?
Well, I mean, those are kind of those aren't
Can
really
it
the
be
same
both?
thing, right? I mean, I think it can be both, right? So like when you are when you are talking about like the work that you're going to do, right? Or the things that you're choosing to get involved in, right? You should do it from a place of picking things that you will enjoy or find pleasure in or find joy in or find fulfillment in, because you are always going to do a better job if you are enjoying the work that you're doing. You are always going to deliver a better product if you find fulfillment in that work, right? You will be more successful by virtue of the fact that you are enjoying what you're doing, right? So, like, the idea that you should focus on you first when it comes to the choices you make in terms of the sort of work that you do or the focus or the things that you focus on, I 100% agree, because I think you will end up delivering better work and a better product, which will lead to, earning better income if we're talking in a business context, right? Like, it will lead to revenue down the line, right? So I absolutely agree with that. And then when it comes to telling the story of what you're doing, right? Like if you're telling stories, right, for an audience, because otherwise why would you tell stories? You're not going to sit around and tell yourself a story about something you've lived, right? That doesn't make, I mean, some people could, but I think, maybe those people should go talk to a professional. They're probably like, that's not the norm, right? So like, if you're going to tell a story, you're telling it to an audience. You are telling it for an audience. You are trying to deliver something to them, right? You're trying to give them the benefit of your experience. You're trying to teach them a lesson that you learned, or convey information that you gathered through this experience that you're relaying to them. And so in that case, because you are trying to do something for them, absolutely you have to put them first, right? Because they are the audience. They are the people or the persons you are trying to have a net effect on. And so you have to put sort of their wants, their needs, their understandings, the way they approach the world, those kind of things first, right? But I think, yeah, so I think they're very different situations. I think you can do both. They're definitely not mutually exclusive.
Good, because there's so much negative connotation sometimes. Like what Jason's saying is a beautiful thing. He did it for him, and then more blossomed out of it. But then sometimes somebody would be quick to jump and say, it's got to be audience first. And so you know,
Yeah, there is like a huge sort of like cultural tendency to make everything a zero-sum game.
yeah.
And that's not the way most things work, right? Most things are not a zero-sum game. Most things are not mutually exclusive. You can believe or do multiple things at once that are not necessarily at odds with each other, even though they may seem on the surface to be, right? So yeah, this whole zero-sum game framework that people tend to apply kind of across the board, I find really frustrating, because it's overly simplistic, right? Like, life is not black and white. Like, we live in the gray area in between, the vast majority of the time, right? So yeah, it's totally okay to put yourself first when it comes to the choices you make for you, and to put your audience first when it comes to the stories that you tell. Those two things are not at odds at all.
Well said. And I think that brings me back to that Jimmy's point earlier about zero sum game. Like this, to his point about news medias are on one channel they show one thing, on the other channel they show other things. Well, probably it's not a zero sum game, and there's probably some good and good people and bad people on both sides, and there's things that we could all learn from each other, but we choose to probably fight more than hear people out to even consider, hey, I could learn something today. I'd rather just be closed minded and not learn something new.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, and it's again, it's a it's a sort of, I'll tell you exactly why they do it, because it's sort of like a clickbaity, easy framework to sort of like get people riled up, and that gets them to sort of click through, pay attention, read the headline, stick around if they see like, you know some like some clickbaity statement, on the scroll on the bottom of the screen on their chosen 24-hour news network. It gets them to stick around, to see what they're talking about. But that's really all it is. It's the attention economy, right? And they're just trying to get you to pay attention. And so they're seeing who can shout the loudest and say the most bizarre, extreme stuff to get people to pay attention. That's all it is. But yeah, so agree with you there. Before we get too far down the line, we're creeping up on an hour, and I want to make sure that we have a minute or two for you to take us on a leisurely stroll down memory lane. So what do you got for us this week?
All right, so I'm going to take you down the memory lane and also have a little show and tell for you today. It's a mix. So about three months ago, I ride my bike to my dad's house a lot. He lives about 10 miles away in a rural part of town. So I ride the trail and then get off and go through some neighborhoods and go visit my dad. My dad's a landscaper. He doesn't like that I use pesticides and chemicals on my lawn. I like him because my front yard looks green most of the time. Dad doesn't like him, so Dad takes offense to this. So one day I'm over at my dad's house. I start telling him about the neighborhood I rode through the other day, and how all the grass was green. Dad says they use chemicals down there and you shouldn't use them, and half those are weeds in that lawn. So my dad, at 83, he's passionate about landscaping. He decides to get up out of his chair. He shuffles when he walks and says, let's go over to that neighborhood right now. He wants to drive down the road. I'm like, Dad, it's not that big a deal. So we start walking around his house, and to get into the car, Dad, because he was in such a rush, put on his old slippers that have holes in them. He fell as we're walking around the house. And as he fell, I tried to catch him. So you might have noticed I've been wearing these things on my fingers for the last 2 months. Here's one of them, little brace that they made. Dad, when he fell, broke my finger and it was dislocated. It was hanging like this. But when he fell, he actually hurt his arm and like was bleeding. And I had to pretend like I wasn't in pain because Dad was in pain. So, but then I looked down at my finger and saw it was hanging out of place. So first I went to Med Express. They told me it wasn't broken. So just put ice on it. A month later, I had been doing stretches and I thought I was doing real good. A month later, it was still hanging down. And because I type for a living and move my mouse, I couldn't even move my mouse. So I went to a hand surgeon and they said, no, you have a torn tendon. And unless you keep it straight for 6 weeks, your finger's never going to get better. So this is the last week I will be wearing these things, hopefully. Next week, I go to the doctor and you won't see these little things on my fingers anymore. Hopefully. I listened for 6 weeks, Tom. I followed the directions, and now I'm going to get this thing off. So that's show and tell today.
Nice. So I'm going to be a little nitpicky because I'm me. You said you broke your finger. Did you break your finger, or did you tear a tendon, or did you do both?
Okay, so they told me it wasn't broken. Where a different silly thing. I went to MedExpress, X-ray, wasn't broken. They say wear this thing. They could have cared less at MedExpress. A month later, so here I am. I'm doing stretches. I don't know what I'm doing. Like I'm thinking I'm helping. A month later, when my finger was still hanging down, I went to a hand surgeon, and the tendon on top of the finger is torn, and it's just a little tiny tendon. And they say it's too small for a staple, and the tendon on the bottom is bigger and thicker. So unless you keep it straight for a minimum of 6 weeks, it's never going to heal. So I listened, and I believe next week that I am going to have a usable finger with no big thing on it again. So that's the clarifying answer.
So you didn't break it?
No, I tore a tendon. No break.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, tore.
Well, because you set it up like, oh, I went here. They said it wasn't broken. Then I went to the hand surgeon, and they said it was.
Yeah, no, they said torn tendon on the top. This little tiny tendon that makes it pull down.
Yeah.
But I'm getting, it was all because my dad's so passionate about landscaping and not using pesticides that my finger is out of place. And every time I see him since then, because I try to visit him a lot, he's like, "What's wrong with your finger?" And I want to say, "Dad, remember, I do remember you fell on me when you were mad about pesticides." But he doesn't. He just keeps asking, "What's wrong with my finger?" So that's memory lane for today, Tom.
Well, now that pesticides have led to a months long injury for yourself and some injuries for your father, are you going to stop putting them on your lawn?
Moving on.
Okay.
I hate dandelions. I can't stand a dirty dandelion. I hate a dirty dandelion, and I hate crabgrass. So I go out there and I pick them with a shovel. My neighbors think I'm weird. Then I put pesticides on them. I hate them.
I can't. That has got to be one of the most ridiculous phrases I've ever heard an adult person say. Is I can't stand a dirty dandelion.
Hey, it is what I get. You get honesty out of these guys. All right, this has been not the smartest guys in the room. Give us a wrap up, Tom. Are you ready? Can you handle this kind of pressure?
I mean, I think I can. What did I say before? That I thrive under pressure, that I used to intentionally create pressure for myself by procrastinating when I was in school so that I would accomplish things and complete my work. So yeah, I think I can handle the pressure. I'm going to keep it really short and sweet. I think at the end of the day, when it comes down to accomplishing goals, right, I think what you should do, the answer that I've come to, what we've learned over the course of the last hour and talking to all these brilliant people that have joined us here today, is do what works best for you, right? There is no one size fits all answer. And like you said earlier, Dom, and it's one of those completely unsatisfying answers that people are often kind of get upset about because we want like a really nice, well-packaged, simple answer for things. And the truth is, like, it just depends. Like, it depends on what works best for you. So when it comes to accomplishing your goals, whether it's in business or in your personal life, I think what you should do is spend the time figuring out what works best for you. And that's how you should work towards accomplishing your goals. That's all I've got for this week. Thank you all for being here. Thank you guys for being a part of Not the Smartest Guys in the Room. We appreciate you. We love you, and we will see you next Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. for our Thanksgiving episode. Until then, have a great rest of your week. Have a great weekend. We love you. Bye-bye now.